Those opposed say no. That's carried. And the draft Smart Christchurch strategy. Would someone like to move that? Have a mover? Pauline, seconded by Bales for want of a seconder. Is that right? Tim. No, seconded by Tim and Yanni.
Just want staff here or Michael here?
Yes, staff are coming down.
Yep.
Just ask you a question.
Yeah, thank you. And, thank you for the work that you're doing on it. I noted several of the submissions talked about doing things, differently. And I just kind of wanted to check on three things. One is there's been suggestion that it would be better to have an app rather than just a web portal. So, I understand work is probably happening on that, but it might be good just to sort of clarify. The second question was around the possibility of getting an emergency type dashboard in terms of smart view or smart city, just so that people can be informed. Because one of the things I think that came through, people want to know when things are important. And just the final question was around the air quality measuring. If there's scope within what you're proposing to do more in terms of the areas around, obviously in the east of the city that's currently experiencing the challenges, Woolston, Bromley, Linwood, there might be other areas as well that are affected, but there just seemed a little bit of a disconnect between all the work that we're doing currently around air monitoring and how that links into the smart city strategy. So there's three questions I heard.
Morena, thank you for having us today. Starting on Smart View, we've had that feedback a lot around the need for a dedicated native app, as well as a web app. The concerns we had were around cost. We didn't want to add complexity and operational costs, but we believe we've come up with a good solution. A third-party service that for approximately $2,500 will be able to get a native app version as a one-off cost. We think that's pretty good value for money, and it means we won't have added complexity or maintenance costs as well. So I'm testing that on my phone now, and are hoping just to do due diligence in the next month or so, and then go live with that. So.
Pauline?
Thank you. Just looking at the water aspect of this, so I know that you're talking that we have sensors to reflect water quality data. Are these, the sensors that Helen talks about putting in the pipes to determine if we have leaks?
Pressure
Pressure
ones.
Are they part of this project?
It's supplementary to that project. So the Rafferty project is testing a whole bunch of things like smart meters. I won't speak to the detail of it, but leak detection, etc. The projects we're working on are more about urban waterways. So we're installing 4 real-time sensor arrays in the Takaro Avon catchment in the next 2 months. Mm-hmm. So it'll tell you turbidity, oxygen levels, heavy metals, etc. So it'll give us a real sense of what's happening in the river during dry times, but also through rain events. So it'll give us a lot more real-time information to see what's happening.
Great. And a question around it might be for the Chief Executive, I'm not sure, but 6.4 and 6.5 around mana whenua. So here we're saying we've sought feedback, but should we not be perhaps working with them a bit more closely around the water quality stuff to let them know what we're doing and how we're doing it, and if they may have some other suggestions for us?
Yes, definitely. And we presented to a joint committee of ECAN and CCC representatives about water quality, and the feedback was to work with mana whenua more closely, but also the many community groups that are active in this space. So going forward, we'll make sure that we're part of that wider conversation on urban water.
Yeah, I think this sort of, addresses our desire to improve our relationships, because we should have been working with them in the development of this as well, not just at the end. But thank you. It's great to see. There's some really exciting stuff in here, so it's really good.
Thank you.
Thank you. Yanni.
I didn't quite get the responses to the two other
Sorry,
questions, but
apologies.
yeah, if you-
I'll move on to the second one, which was around the emergency dashboard.
yeah, if there was a way for work to be done around that.
Yeah, so you would have seen in the strategy we talk about multi-agency dashboards or information sharing to enable those key kind of insights through peacetime, but also emergencies. So that is an ongoing conversation, but we do have a good connection with Civil Defence, Brendan Winder, who's moved across from Council. So we're in conversations to see how we can get some of that multi-agency data together, both through normal times, but also through heavy rain events, fires, etc.
Great, thank
So
you.
it's
And then
ongoing.
just I guess the final point, really, just to be a bit more direct. But on page 94, you list the areas of focus, and I note that air quality and dust isn't. So air quality, odour, dust isn't an area of focus, but obviously everything we're doing as a council right now is absolutely trying to understand what's happening in our atmosphere. So I wonder how hard would it be just to ask that we add an additional area of focus based on, there were submissions, I think, around it, but also feedback that we'd given. And it sort of aligns to the work
Open
that we
to
do.
direction on that. I mean, at the higher level, we talk about sustainability and environmental monitoring. I suppose the nature of the strategy is it identifies the areas that we need to be focused on, but of course isn't too directive about what we'll work on, especially further out, as we need to move quickly. But I can say we've got air quality sensors, a wider network, well and truly on our roadmap, and we've got some. I remember last time we discussed the fire detection sensors. They're also air quality sensors, so there'll be some on Port Hills, Bottle Lake, and we'll look to expand the network further. So I feel hopefully that we've included enough detail in the strategy as it is to say that is one of our focus areas, but we just haven't been too prescriptive. But
I guess I'd like us to be more prescriptive, because given what we're doing, like the work that staff have done around the sensors and the monitoring over like the wastewater treatment plant, that's been ramped up from scratch almost, and it's quite interesting, but I couldn't see what the harm would be in actually having a specific one around air listed on page 94, and then just tying in that work, because to me it's just there's not enough visibility. But that's my only, in terms of the strategy, probably my biggest piece of feedback concern, that we're doing stuff, but it's important that we see how it links in to a focus.
Leah, would you like to help us out?
Sorry, I thought I pushed it. Just wanted to comment on that. Look, I think we need to just reflect that this is a strategy high level, and sort of all of those specific things that you're requesting, Yanni, is absolutely happy for us to look at that, but we would need to go back and do some work and come back to council in regards to the impacts of that. Okay.
Sorry, what? If you look at the ones on page 94, there's lots of discussion already about things that we're doing. So I'm not talking about adding anything additional than what that, it'd be great if we did, but I'm just talking about capturing the things that we're currently doing, and just having it highlighted as a focus.
Yeah, so we'll come back and do some work with that,
Okay.
working with the other team.
Would you prefer a wee amendment or?
And just to clarify, when you've read the strategy, you'll see this kind of infographic of things in ideation through trial through to being adopted by the BAU business units. This is a living document. So we'll keep this updated. We'll share it at rec centres, art gallery, any public space, and that'll certainly reflect these new projects as they come through the pipeline.
Yeah.
So it'll certainly reflect as we expand the air quality program.
Yeah, it's a shame Celeste isn't here. She might also. She may have been interested in that, but yeah. So is it okay to add it as an area of focus, and do you want just a small resolution? Is that?
We've got it down as an action, Yanni. We'll make sure it's incorporated. What we're saying is, at a high level, it's there. There's an emphasis that you as an individual member are putting, if members are comfortable with that. When you're seeing projects coming through, you're relating what's already happening on the ground, and then any added value the smart city strategy can bring to that work.
I guess I'm just missing why you wouldn't just add it as an area of focus on page 94 at a high level. It's just a text change.
What we're asking for is for the work that's currently being done simply to be recorded in the model. Is that right?
what I'm asking for is on page 94, the areas of focus that are listed are water, waste, mobility, energy, economic development. And all I'm asking is that a section gets added on air, which is reflecting what we're already kind of doing. We've heard that there's some sensors in there. We've got other stuff happening in terms of the wastewater treatment plant. And it's just to have probably a paragraph describing what we're doing around that air quality.
Okay, well, how about,
do that.
receive the information, the attached Smart Christchurch strategy and this report, noting that a reference to, is it air quality or
I think it would be you just say air, I think, and make
Air.
it quite broad and say
that a
that
reference to air
be added to the areas of
will be
focus.
added to
Page 94.
94
well,
areas
it's
of focus.
yeah, page 94. That's probably the easiest
know,
thing
yeah,
to do.
yeah,
Okay,
got
the
it.
mover and seconder happy with that? Yep. Okay, cool. All right, I'll open it up for debate. Pauline?
Great piece of work, this, and I think it's really nice seeing the results of the submissions and the responses, and one of them was on air quality, and the response is that they're currently being trialled. So, and also I was interested in the comments around the traffic flow control through using these smart sensors, which I think a lot of people will welcome. As technology moves on, we'll have probably more smart traffic systems around the city. So I suppose that when there's a left turning arrow and nobody there, it won't be a red arrow anymore, it will be a green one, that sort of thing. So, and I really take on board your comments that it's a living document. So I'd really like to see the council, the future council, be updated on this regularly, because I can imagine there's going to be rapid fire changes in this very, very quickly and increasingly so in the future as our technologies develop. So great to see. Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Tim?
Yeah, look, thank you very much for the work you do. I guess just two comments. One is with, focus more on digital accessibility and digital inclusion. It's about the information that's in there, that's supplied to you. And anything you do, it's got to be really the old thing, keep it simple. And I think it does have to be. We get far too much into huge bits of paper, whether it's a paper or pages about information. And we've just got to keep looking at how we can simplify that for everybody. The second one is with the air sensors, just ensure that we are linking in with ECAN and keeping the monitoring level between the two, because we have no say in prosecuting with regards to infringements, but that is also the same when we're talking with regards to sedimentation into our rivers. I know you mentioned the Avon River, but the big thing for the Heathcote River is the sediment off the hills, which is a far bigger issue in the Heathcote than it is for the Avon, but also the heavy metals that are coming from the Curlitz Road industrial parks. So those are key areas, but we need to have that relationship and joint management with ECAN. Thank you.
Agreed. Yeah, and ECAN has been involved with the Water Sensor project, and the Heathcote is on a roadmap once we validate the efficacy of the first sensors.
Thank you very much for that, because there are groups like the Power Hoop, but anyway, we can work on that. Thank you very much.
Thank you. I'll put the motion. All those in favour say aye. Aye. Those opposed say no. That's carried. So I'm sorry for everyone that's come into the room, but I'm now going to move